Alice, wake up.
Alice, you won't believe this. I met someone online who works in bank loans. He said we can get a loan easily through him. It's totally secure.
The exact same words as in my previous life. I had been given a second chance.
Tomorrow is the day we took out that loan.
Tomorrow was the day I impulsively went with my best friend to get a loan, which led to a heavy price. I remembered that the idol I had admired for 8 years was having his final concert before retiring. Millions of people were vying for 40,000 tickets, with front-row seats being resold for over $1 million. Even the general admission prices started in the six figures. This was unprecedented in the history of celebrity concerts.
Alice, let's get the loan and buy those tickets. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Emily, we can't. I remember what happened last time. We took out an $800,000 loan each to buy those tickets from scalpers. It was like a blissful dream, but then the debt crushed us.
What do you mean? We were so happy at the concert.
After returning from the concert, faced with the enormous debt, I began to panic. At first, I hid and didn't dare to tell my family. But the truth couldn't be hidden forever.
Alice, what happened?
When the court summons arrived at my home, my parents, in a fit of rage, sold the house they had lived in for 20 years. They seemed to age overnight, hunching over and working 3 jobs a day. My sister, in a rush to earn money to pay off the debt, was deceived into going abroad after graduating from high school. As for me, I could no longer afford tuition and living expenses. I had to drop out and work in a dark, dreary factory year after year. I paid for my youth, but ended my life completely.
Alice, no. That can't happen.
Emily, it did happen. But I have been given a second chance. We can't take out a loan. We can't ruin our lives because of this concert.
But it's the last concert.
We can still watch it online. We don't need to risk everything for this. Please, Emily, trust me.
My life had just begun, and this time I wanted to live well. The truth couldn't be hidden forever. When the court summons arrived at my home, my parents, in a fit of rage, sold the house they had lived in for 20 years. They seemed to age overnight, hunching over and working 3 jobs a day. My sister, in a rush to earn money to pay off the debt, was deceived into going abroad after graduating from high school. As for me, I could no longer afford tuition and living expenses. I had to drop out and work in a dark, dreary factory year after year. I paid for my youth but ended my life completely. Unable to bear the pressure, I ended my life, and then I was reborn. It must be a chance from above to repent. My life had just begun, and this time I wanted to live well. But the truth couldn't be hidden forever. When the court summons arrived at my home, my parents, in a fit of rage, sold the house they had lived in for 20 years. They seemed to age overnight, hunching over and working 3 jobs a day. My sister, in a rush to earn money to pay off the debt, was deceived into going abroad after graduating from high school. As for me, I could no longer afford tuition and living expenses. I had to drop out and work in a dark, dreary factory year after year.
I paid for my youth, but ended my life completely. Unable to bear the pressure, I ended my life, and then I was reborn. It must be a chance from above to repent. My life had just begun, and this time, I wanted to live well.
I know it, Ava, you're a fake fan. You've always pretended to be a loyal fan of Michael for 8 years, acting all sincere, just to infiltrate our group. Now you suddenly don't want to go to the concert and made up some rebirth story to deceive us. Aren't you tired of this?
Emily grabbed my collar like a madwoman.
You don't want to go to the concert, so you want to drag us down with you? How malicious!
Emily, calm down. Aren't we good friends? Would I deceive and harm you?
Why wouldn't you? Ava, I've seen through you long ago. You're just a manipulative person. Being with you makes me sick, but I couldn't say it. I originally planned to tell you after the concert, but now you've shown your true colors.
Her words hit me like a hammer. I pried Emily's hand off my collar.
Emily, is this really what you think of me?
Don't you know what kind of person you are? Why are you still pretending?
I felt deflated and disheartened. Living another life, I realized that the friend I thought was the best had always despised me. The situation was at a stalemate, and Sarah had already run to the side to message her benefactors.
Actually, I kind of believe Ava. She knew that the card was for my family's house fund, but I just got it and never told you guys. Whether she's really reborn or just dreaming, I think it's a bad omen, and I'm a bit scared.
Jessica, are you out of your mind believing her nonsense? Who couldn't guess about the house money? Ava knows your fate, Sarah's fate, and her own fate. How could she not know mine? Let her say it.
For some reason, I had no memory of Emily's fate after my rebirth.
I'm sorry, Emily, I really don't know.
See, what did I tell you?
She was about to say more when the dormitory door was pushed open, and a few girls from the neighboring class called from outside.
Have you got the money ready? We're choosing seats now.
They were famous heiresses in the school, their families being financial magnates with strong backgrounds. Normally, we wouldn't have any connection with them, but after they heard we were also going to Michael's concert, they started chatting with us.
Lily, 2 people backed out. They're too scared to even take a loan to see their idol's concert. What cowards!
Asuka's willingness to believe me brought some comfort to my heart. With one person convinced, the remaining 2 should only be a matter of time. But time was running out, and I needed to act quickly.
Alice, thank you. I realize now that I was really losing my mind. You were right. We like Michael, but we can't give up our own lives and our families. If I really ended up causing my family to fall apart over a concert, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. Let's watch it online together when the time comes.
I couldn't help but reach out and hug her, tears welling up. Putting aside the concert issue, Jessica had always been the image of a gentle big sister.
Enough about that. Have you made up with your boyfriend?
Only then did I remember my boyfriend from my past life who truly cared for me. His name was Ethan, and we shared the same surname. Before the concert incident, we had always been sweet together. But after deciding to attend the concert, I asked him to cover part of the cost. He carefully explained that the ticket prices were inflated and that blindly following the trend was unwise. I called him stingy and unromantic, then deleted him from my contacts. He later came to me several times, humbly apologizing, but I refused to see him, believing that his lack of support for the concert meant he didn't respect me. Thinking back now, I cried even harder. How foolish and ridiculous I had been to lose the person who loved me most in the world.
You should add him back as a friend.
I couldn't wait another moment. The second I rushed out of the dormitory building in my slippers, I saw him. He was sitting dejectedly on a bench outside the girls' dormitory. He had been waiting for me all this time. Silently, I cursed myself for being such an idiot. When he saw me, he stood up.
Ethan, it's so good to see you.
I threw myself into his arms, hugging him with all my strength, afraid that if I let go, I would wake up and find it was all a dream.
Alice. What are you doing here in slippers?
Seeing my bare foot after losing a slipper, he looked at me with concern and sat me down on the bench.
Alice, no matter what, you have to take care of yourself.
My eyes, still swollen from crying, started to tear up again.
Alice, please don't cry. Are you still mad at me because of the concert? Is it because you haven't raised enough money yet? I asked my family for an advance on 6 months' living expenses, and I saved some myself. It might not be enough. We can still earn more. Alice, please don't be mad at me.
Ethan, how can you be so foolish? I don't want money. I don't want money. Ethan, I'm not going to the concert. Ethan, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things to you before. Ethan, don't leave me.
He wiped my tears with his fingers.
Silly, how could I ever leave you?
Ignoring everyone around us, I kissed him passionately.
Alice, it's broad daylight.
I don't care, I just want to indulge myself first. After discussing with Ethan, I decided to talk to Emily and Sarah when I returned. Having shared a dorm room for 2 years, I couldn't just watch them walk into a trap. I would do everything in my power to stop them, even if it meant being persistent.
After dinner with Ethan, we went back, but before I could find Emily, Jessica gave me some bad news.
Alice, Emily posted something 5 minutes ago. You should take a look.
She handed me her phone, and on the screen was a post in Michael's fan forum, featuring a photo of Jessica and me.
Sweethearts, I'm really furious. We had agreed to go to Michael's 8th anniversary concert together and had already decided to buy front row seats. We even found a way to get a loan. But today at noon, one of my roommates told me she wasn't going anymore. She said she had been reborn and that going to the concert would lead to a tragic end for us and our families. What does she mean by that? Isn't she cursing our Michael? She listens to his songs all the time and acts like a die-hard fan, but she's actually a fake fan. How did I end up with someone like this? And another roommate actually believed her nonsense. I'm posting their photos below so everyone can see their true colors. People like them don't deserve to be Michael's fans. Lastly, is there anyone who wants to go to the concert with me? Let's exchange some fan merchandise. Wink, heart.
Her post gained a lot of attention, with thousands of likes and comments in just a few minutes. The comments were all criticizing Jessica and me.
Unbelievable, you really see all kinds of weirdos online. The bloggers' roommates are something else.
How dare they like Michael with faces like that, yuck. Makes me want to puke.
If those fake fans don't understand anything. Hugs to JoJo, don't mind them.
Sisters, don't forget our original promise. No matter the cost, we must go. We have to wear our wedding dresses and make sure our youth has no regrets. Crying.
Sisters, we must go, no matter if we have to sell our houses, cars, or take out loans. Youth is priceless. Thumbs up.
Occasionally, a comment would pop up defending us, but they were quickly attacked. Emily not only posted our private photos but also tagged Jessica and me. Our accounts were exposed, and we received hundreds of hateful private messages. In the fan group, people were continuously attacking us. Jessica looked distressed, clearly hurt by the comments and messages.
Jessica, ignore them. Turn off your phone and don't think about it.
Alice, she's gone too far. Whatever happens to her is her own doing. Why bother?
Jessica, I'll try one last time.
The truth couldn't be hidden forever. When the court summons arrived, my parents, in a fit of rage, sold the house they had lived in for 20 years.
We have no choice. We need the money for the debt.
I can't believe it's come to this.
They seemed to age overnight, hunching over and working 3 jobs a day. My sister, desperate to help, was deceived into going abroad after graduating from high school.
I'll find a good job and send money home. Don't worry.
As for me, I could no longer afford tuition and living expenses. I had to drop out and work in a dark, dreary factory year after year. I paid for my youth but ended my life completely. Unable to bear the pressure, I made a desperate decision and then, miraculously, I was given a second chance. It must be a chance from above to repent. My life had just begun, and this time, I wanted to live well. The truth couldn't be hidden forever.
This is the end of it. We're selling the house.
Sad, 20 years, gone in an instant.
They seemed to age overnight, hunching over and working 3 jobs a day. My sister, desperate to earn money to pay off the debt, was deceived into going abroad after graduating from high school. As for me, I could no longer afford tuition and living expenses. I had to drop out and work in a dark, dreary factory year after year. Unable to bear the pressure, I ended my life, and then I was reborn. It must be a chance from above to repent. My life had just begun, and this time, I wanted to live well. The truth couldn't be hidden forever. When the court summons arrived at my home, my parents, in a fit of rage, sold the house they had lived in for 20 years. They seemed to age overnight, hunching over and working 3 jobs a day.
How could this happen? We've lost everything.
We have no choice but to move and start anew.
My sister, in a rush to earn money to pay off the debt, was deceived into going abroad after graduating from high school. As for me, I could no longer afford tuition and living expenses. I had to drop out and work in a dark, dreary factory year after year.
I thought this would help, but it only made things worse.
I paid for my youth but ended my life completely. Unable to bear the pressure, I ended my life, and then I was reborn.
It must be a chance from above to repent. My life had just begun, and this time, I wanted to live well. Soon, it was the day of Michael's concert. I was well prepared, having made a name for myself in the programming competition.
If nothing goes wrong, you could win first place in the school and represent us in the provincial competition.
He also invited me to stay at school during the summer to work on a project together. I quickly shared the good news with Ethan.
Ethan, guess what? The professor said I might win first place and go to the provincial competition.
That's incredible, Ava! I'm so proud of you.
At 7 p.m., Jessica and I went to the supermarket to buy snacks, milk tea, and beer. We sat in front of the computer, waiting for the online live broadcast of the concert.
This is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see Michael perform.
Me neither. It's going to be like we're actually there.
At 8 p.m., the concert officially began. When Michael appeared, Jessica and I hugged each other in excitement. We turned off the lights, held up light sticks, and sang along with the people on the screen, just like we were at the concert.
This is the best night ever.
Absolutely. I don't want it to end.
We cheered, we cried, marking the end of our youth. It was a grand finale. After Michael sang the last song, his face was clearly shown on the screen, tears in his eyes.
Thank you to all the fans who came to support me, and to the viewers across the country who couldn't be here but are watching. For the past 8 years, it was your support that made me who I am. The story continues, and I hope my songs can always accompany you. Goodbye.
Jessica and I hugged each other, crying.
Our youth has ended.
But our lives have just begun.
In my past life, I had no way out, but in this life, I truly felt the brilliance of hope. I liked Michael, but I liked the version of myself who kept striving even more. The truth couldn't be hidden forever. When the court summons arrived at my home, my parents, in a fit of rage, decided to sell the house they had lived in for 20 years.
We have no choice. We need to pay off this debt.
But this house holds so many memories.
They seemed to age overnight, their backs hunched as they worked 3 jobs a day. My sister, desperate to earn money, was deceived into going abroad after graduating from high school. As for me, I could no longer afford tuition and living expenses.
I had to drop out and work in a dark, dreary factory year after year. My youth slipped away, and I felt my life was over.
Unable to bear the pressure, I ended my life, and then I was reborn. It must be a chance from above to repent. My life had just begun, and this time, I wanted to live well. The school arranged for 2 new students to join our dormitory.
Who are the new students?
One is Sarah. Her family had her take a break from school to receive proper treatment.
And the other?
Emily. The school didn't disclose much about her, but I learned a bit through my brother.
What did you find out?
Apparently, after a concert, Emily took her remaining money and fled to the Northwest. She was determined not to repay the loan and decided to run away.
She ran away?
Yes. She even mortgaged a $2 million villa from Emma's family.
What happened next?
Emma, not being a fool, was furious and reported it to the police. The authorities took half a month to catch her, bringing her back from the Northwest to her hometown, and then she was incarcerated.
That's awful. How long will she be in for?
Seems like she'll be in for 10 years.
I feel pity for Emily, pity that she will be remembered as the one who served 10 years in prison.
Originally, it was 20 years, but her parents sold their house and car, agreeing to help repay part of the debt, which reduced her sentence.
I did not go to see her. She would probably think I was there to mock her. Nor would I ask her if she regretted it. Whatever her answer, it no longer mattered. If possible, I truly wished she could have a second chance at life too.
During the summer vacation, I spent a month completing a project with a professor. For the other month, I resolutely returned home.
Sophia, you did amazing on your exams. Here, I got you a surprise.
Sophia had just finished her college entrance exams and did very well, scoring 10 points above the first-year line. I bought her favorite strawberry bear, along with various clothes and shoes.
Thank you so much. Look, I got you something too.
She jumped around happily and pulled out a banner. It was a souvenir from Michael's 8th anniversary, now available online. I accepted it like a treasure, feeling there was no better gift in the world.
This is perfect, Sophia. Thank you.
Oh my, you're spoiling her so much.
Mom, what are you talking about? I brought gifts for you and Dad too.
In this house, which was sold in my previous life, a family of 4 lived happily. I thought, the next time we leave this house, it will probably be when I can afford to buy a bigger one for us. I must work hard.
Alice, isn't that movie coming out next week? Care to join me?
Michael's concert tickets were being resold by scalpers for $1 million. Regular tickets on ticketing apps were about 8,000. But it depended on luck, sometimes you could get them, sometimes you couldn't.
Can you believe it? 8,000 for a ticket. What can 8,000 do?
1,500 is for the perfume Mom thinks is too expensive to buy. 1,000 is for the watch I've liked for many years but never owned. Over 2,000 is for the makeup I'm almost out of but reluctant to buy. And 8,000 is a whole year's tuition. It can buy a lot of snacks. It can fund a meaningful trip.
For us fans, the existence of our idol is like a guiding light, leading us to become better. When life is disappointing, listening to his songs fills us with motivation again.
We constantly strive to be better for him, to align ourselves with him. The meaning of being a fan isn't just about holding a glow stick at the concert, cheering and crying in the crowd.
We immerse ourselves in that moment of beauty but often overlook what we truly want. When we grow to a point where we no longer worry about concert tickets, we can naturally hold the hands of those around us and say, let's go to a concert together.
We need to oppose exorbitant ticket prices.
My friends and I had decided to take out a loan to buy tickets to see Michael.
I can't go. My family's falling apart. Please, don't go either.
I despise people who break promises. You were more enthusiastic than I was before, and now you say you won't go? Honestly, I've always been jealous of her carefree life and excellent grades, jealous of her loving boyfriend. So I persuaded her to take out a loan with me. I knew we couldn't repay such a high loan, but I had a backup plan. I used Emma's house as collateral, planning to flee to another city and leave her to deal with the consequences. She probably wouldn't mind such a small amount of money anyway.
Ava's right. We shouldn't go.
How could this be? If I were the only one left, how would I save face? I told Sarah that Ava was just jealous of her looks and even cursed her to get sick, urging her not to believe Ava. Sarah was naive. It was my idea for her to sell herself for money in the first place. Why should she be so beautiful? She was born to be used by others, wasn't she? When I found out she really contracted a disease, I thought she deserved it. I angrily condemned Ava and the others on social media. The comments section was full of people supporting me, which felt great. Ava seemed like a different person. Had she really been reborn? I was afraid she might sue me for defamation, so I deleted the post that night. We successfully bought tickets for the first 5 rows, so happy. I saw Ava studying in the library. What was she pretending for? She probably couldn't stand being in the dorm anymore. What good would studying do? I was going to see Michael's 8th anniversary concert. We were no longer on the same level. We boarded the plane to see Michael, so excited. Michael looked amazing in person, and the view from the first 5 rows was crystal clear, totally worth it. My youth ended in a chorus of tears.
Let's celebrate with some French cuisine.
I'd never had French food before, so I couldn't pass it up.
How do you plan to repay the loan?
I don't have an answer.
I feel unwell. I need to go to the hospital.
I didn't care about her. I needed to escape. I had to succeed. I took a high-speed train, then a regular train, and finally a bus. After 5 days, I reached the Northwest. Life here was tough, and I didn't want to stay long. I knew my phone could be tracked, so I kept it off. After a few days of peace, I couldn't resist turning it on to play a game. I got caught. I had no complaints, just felt guilty seeing my parents' disappointed faces. They had aged, and their wrinkles were deep and frightening when they came to see me. As they left, I noticed how bent their backs were.
No food if you don't do things right.
I was often so hungry my stomach ached. In the confined space, I looked up at the sunlight, reaching out to touch it, only to hear the clinking of chains. Ava must be very pleased now. I heard she and her professor won a national award for their project. How could I possibly envy her? She was just as fallen as I was. 10 years ahead, with no end in sight. Sometimes I pondered the wisdom of taking out a loan for a concert. Oh, if only I had a chance to be reborn too.